Welcome to the FAQ podcast, frequently asked questions with Fuzzy and Quincy. If you would like to subscribe, FAQ podcast, YouTube, FAQ podcast on audio. It's an amazing podcast.
Instagram.
Instagram. You want to hate, whatever you want to do. Share it, comment, like. Please, if you would like to advertise, fuzzyandq@gmail.com. That's fuzzyandq@gmail.com. Our next guest, Fuzz, again, he has one of the most amazing birthdays ever.
That's right.
My
Yes,
God.
January 12th. He's an amazing Capricorn that he is. He's from St.
Because
Louis.
he's his birthday.
Oh yeah, we know. We go back.
yeah,
We go back.
Yeah,
Even though
yeah.
Wikipedia has it January 5th,
Yeah.
but it's really the 12th.
Yeah.
Really?
But I have a split personality, so I have two birthdays.
You got two birthdays. Yeah,
Take
but
it like
January
it is.
12th.
I'm actually tripolar, but I have three.
Yes.
Threesome.
From St. Louis. You've heard his voice. You see him right now if you're watching on YouTube. He's a great comedian. He's a little brother, and little brothers always have to fight for their spot.
Oh, he fought big though.
Yeah,
Woo-hoo.
writer, comedian,
Producer.
just put people on, put so many people on. Student of the comedy game. Let's give it up for Guy.
What up? What up? Guy Torry in the place to be. Got kicked out of Trump University. What's going on, peoples?
Guy, thanks a lot, because we called, Fuzz called quickly, and you were like, I'm busy. All right, I'll make it happen. So we
Yeah.
appreciate you being here, man.
Yo, me and Fuzz go way back.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Yeah.
when he was Big Fuzz.
Yeah.
And we go back. Me and Fuzz go back a little further.
Yeah.
Like when friends call, that's what you do. When friends call, you show up.
Yeah, man. And you told me about the documentary before you guys had started promoting it.
Fat
And as soon as you
Tuesdays.
told me about Fat Tuesday documentary that he has
On Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, Prime Video.
And first of all, it shot
Oh my
really
God.
well.
Man,
I was surprised at how much you had still footage of documenting. Like
Y'all went in.
y'all went
Yo,
in,
that was
bro.
Reggie Hudlin, man, and Byron Phillips, man, and the team that they brought together to shoot that, man. It was, man. I've been a lifelong project. Like I've been working on it for 13 years. You know,
Really?
way back in the day, I was underground for 9, and then you pick it up, you put it down, you pick it up, you put it down. You get busy, you on the road, all that stuff. And about 4 years ago, I took it to my agency, man, and innovative artists. And they looked at it and said, "You been sitting on this?" I said, "Well, I've been busy. Y'all been keeping me busy working." So yeah. But everything is in timing, man. But they said we got something, so we took it out, started shopping it. I had it was Michael Blackson, really, honestly,
Shout out to Mike.
who really planted the seed. We were on a flight years ago,
Really?
and he said, "Man, I miss Fat Tuesdays." 'Cause I had stopped doing it. He said, "I miss Fat Tuesdays, man. I had such a great time at Fat Tuesdays. I wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for Fat Tuesdays." And he said, "These young comics need to know what Fat Tuesdays was, man. I wish they knew." And that's when the light bulb went off. Like, I love documentaries. Maybe I can shoot this.
Yeah,
as
because
a story.
we were a part of that. I just remember getting there early, so I didn't have no problems at the door.
Right. Yeah.
I was either like at the time I was doing street promotion, so I was like, I got some music for the DJ, and I
Yep.
could leave CDs and stuff out on the table.
Yep, promotions,
So I would get in
yep.
free. So then when I did radio, then I'm like, okay, I can now come in and
Yeah.
now
You flex a little
Yeah.
bit.
flex a little bit, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I still want to get there early enough to sit on the wall somewhere because they will light everybody up in the front row, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, I want to get there early enough so I can see everything, because I thought some of the earlier comics were like hilarious.
Right. And that's what it was, man. When Michael said that, man, I was like, let me
You
see
know
what I
what?
got. Let me dig in the archives, see what I
Yeah.
got. And I started, asking comedians, like, what did you think about Fat Tuesdays? And they were like, boom. So I grabbed, up-and-coming director named Bishop Moore. Bishop, was
Bishop.
good with the camera. And I
Yeah.
said, you know what, let's...
You talking about Bishop?
Yeah, little bitty motherfucker.
Yeah.
So we started shooting stuff, started shooting interviews, and then I had enough to start editing and put a sizzle together, and that's when I took it to my agency, and then we took it out to shop it, and took it to Kelsey Grammer's company, GramNet,
Oh, shout out to them.
and they loved the idea. We took it to a bunch of production companies, but that's the one that seemed like it was the best fit. And then we took it to hooked us up with Original Productions, and then we took it out in the marketplace. Shop it everywhere,
storyline, huh?
and then Amazon Studios was like,
It was
"We
amazing.
want this."
It was like, again, I don't want to be surprised because it was so good, but it's just a new standard that, like, yeah, we're black and we can tell our stories in such a way that it has the same production value and the same thoughtfulness and the same quality as anything else that we see out there. And that was the one thing I was like truly proud about watching Fat Tuesday.
That's why I wanted Reggie Hudlin, man. Bishop Moore was originally going directed, but we both didn't have really names to really get us in that door. And of course, we're gonna need somebody who's tried and true and got experience to really get down. And Reggie Hudlin being from East St. Louis area. Yeah. And I talked about this to him years ago. He was on the set of Django.
Damn.
He's one of the producers on Django. Wow. And it's funny because we talked for a long time and then put it down and picked it back up. And they wanted this other big name director. I won't say his name. He loved the idea, but we would have to wait 2 years. And we're like, we don't want to wait 2 years. Amazon wanted to go right now.
Yeah, let's go
so
now.
I was like, let me call Reggie Hudlin. They was like, oh, you just gonna call Reggie Hudlin like that? You just got him? I'll call Reggie. Right? So I called Reggie Hudlin. And it was on like a Thursday. He said, "Oh, yeah, Guy, I remember. I'm a little busy this weekend producing this show called The Emmys."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I said, "Oh, that little show."
Yeah.
And he said, "I'll call you next week." I was like, "Oh crap! Here it comes. I'll call you next week."
Yeah.
He called me next week. He said, "Man, send me the materials. Send them the trailer. Send them the deck." And he texted me the next day. We got to do this.
That's crazy.
And we were like. And we talked. I called him and we talked about it. And then I said, Amazon's on board. Kelsey Grammer's co-producing it. Man, let's go. I got this confirmation from this person, that person, that person. And man, it was fun, man.
Yeah.
But you had to. Did you have? Was it bringing back a lot of old memories of like?
Oh yeah.
Damn, I forgot. Like I even forgot that you guys were in the belly room at one point.
I didn't even know what was going. There was some subculture shit going on.
I didn't realize that, bro.
There was people having sex in the bathrooms. Wow. My staff was wilding out. Some of them was wilding out.
Yeah.
I'm backstage running around trying to get the next comic, host the show, sign checks, the whole nine. Man, there was a whole subculture going on.
That you were so busy worrying about jumping on stage and you didn't see.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about front of the house. I had a great staff, who took care of the front of the house.
Yeah.
But I was back of the house, and I'm like,
why no one fly me these kites? What's going on?
Yeah, I know we I want to go deeper into this, but is it a talk about bringing it back? Like Well,
when I pitched it, when I originally started working on the doc, man, you hear it all. Everybody, documentaries don't make money. Nobody's gonna do it. It's a passion project. Yeah, use your own money. Blah 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 blah. And I was like, I believed in it so much, man. And I said, okay, well, I'm gonna create other shows around it. That goes with the brand. So whoever does the doc, you get dibs on these other shows too that's going to make them the money.
Got it.
So I created like 5 other spinoffs that's under the Phat Tuesday umbrella.
Really?
And yeah, because I knew that once we started interviewing, because when I interviewing, with Bishop Moore, there was so much stuff that was going to end on the cutting room floor that we just couldn't use. Good stuff, but it didn't fit the narrative. I'm like, man, there's something in that. So I created something around that. And then the live version is like, you know what? Everybody love coming. I created something around that. So there's like 5 different tentacles that are working with this man that I'm excited about. So so is GramNet and Amazon Studios.
Wow. So did you like Power? It's like Power Universe.
Man, that's what you got to do. Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. You got to have the hub and then things come off of it. But the hub has to work first. The documentary had to work first for all these other things to happen. That's why this documentary had to be great. And that's why you had to have a great team with innovative artists, with GramNet, with Original Productions, with Fremantle, and with Amazon Studios. We all came together, man, and it fit like a glove. It wasn't an OJ glove. This is an isotoner. This mofo fit.
It's tight.
It fit. It feel good, and we're going to do some more.
Yeah.
That's great, man. And Guy, you deserve this flowers or praise because I'm like, he was doing some innovative, but I liked how you said, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
I didn't. I mean, I'll be lying if I say that I masterminded this and I knew, man, hell no. I just wanted to put comics on and have a spot for me to work out every week. Because the thing about it was when I first got to LA and you would tell white people you're a comedian, first thing they say is, well, when can I see you at the store? Or the Improv or the Laugh Factory. Are you a regular? I'm like, well, no, I can't. They made you feel like you weren't a real comic. And I hate that feeling for me and every other black comic that, wasn't a regular at one of these, Hollywood spots. So I said, I'm going to change that. And then we weren't being seen because they weren't coming to the hood. So it was like, okay, let's bring the hood to Hollywood. And let's showcase these brothers and sisters. And that's what it's all about. I had no idea I'd be doing a documentary on it years ago. I just wanted to showcase comedians, get some work out on stage, get them reps in, and keep it moving. It wasn't about making money because I lost money a lot of times. I had a high overhead. Yeah, I had to do everything right. I mean, I just wanted to run on a comedy show, but when you hire employees and stuff and you start dealing with the government and everything, they start sending you letters that garnish people wages for child support.
Oh man,
you know, and all that stuff. Like, I didn't get into it for that.
Right.
But when you're running it, it is what it is.
Now, did you have to pay some of the comedians? Did you?
I paid all of them. That was my purpose. Because like the other comedy clubs either didn't pay a lot or didn't pay at all. And I made sure I paid the comedy. Oh, absolutely. And I paid them more than what the comedy clubs were paying them in L.A. You don't make any money in L.A. doing stand-up. I think like the Laugh Factory now, they pay like maybe $15 a set unless you do a special show and get a door deal. I think back then the Comedy Store for a spot was paying like $7.
$7 per
was
comic?
like maybe $15. Yeah, you don't get paid in L.A. to do stand-up.
So you just get gas money, parking money.
And a free drink. And a drink ticket. I mean, let's keep it 100. Let's keep it real. There's no money, but they don't have to pay because there's so many comedians. Okay, we're on to the next one. You want this $15? Okay, but I made sure I paid no less.
I never knew that.
I paid no less than 25. I paid from 25, like opening, all the way up to $200. So I paid, and all I got was a door. I didn't get none of the bar.
And what would you charge at the door back then? You remember?
It started out at 5, then it went to like 12, and I was like, man, just make it 15. We ain't got to get all these singles out. And then it maybe went to 20 a couple of times. But I wanted to keep it, affordable because it wasn't about money. It was about seeing these comedians. And industry can't come see you if nobody's in the audience because the night ain't going to work because the bar's not going to make money and the club is going to be like, you're not making us money. You niggas get out of here, basically.
Yeah.
But we kept the comedy store open back then because there was nothing going on really in the comedy store in the 90s.
And I never knew that Tuesdays was a slow night for them or period.
It's like for everybody. The only popular thing on Tuesdays is Taco Tuesdays, and that's only been on the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's some
you know what I'm saying? Tuesday's the worst night ever, man. Who goes out on a Tuesday night?
But you had them coming out.
Man, that was lightning in the bottle, man. That was having bomb-ass comedians on the show, surrounding me, having a beautiful staff,
Fire.
So the women were looking good, so the fellas could come out and see my staff. But then when the fellas came out, the women in the audience came out to see the fellas coming to see the staff. So now that part was by design.
You were building the ecosystem.
That part was by design.
Yo, the one thing I didn't know was that you worked on the Martin Lawrence show.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I mean, here's the thing. It's if you're not Eddie Murphy, Kevin Hart, right? It's other comedians that are making a living that are doing extremely well that people are like, oh yeah, yes, I know his name, but you don't know how much work you've put in to be when you come to my city. Like, oh God, Torry, oh hell yeah, we going, right? You don't know. So when I saw it, I was like, damn, this dude worked. Tell him about your Martin grind.
Man, in before the end, when I moved out here, I was doing extra work, background work. My first extra job was an extra in a Rick Astley video. No, a Celine Dion video. What? Yeah, Love Can Move Mountains. And then it was a Rick Astley video. Then I was an extra on a bunch of movies. And then Family Matters and a cafeteria scene. Just mugging the camera, overacting. Yeah. I just wanted I need to make some money. I was doing stand-up. I did marketing assistant for a movie called Zebrahead with Michael Rappaport and the Boucher Wright. And then Joe made the phone call to Martin. It was like, hey, my little brother in town. You got anything over him at the set? It's like production assistant. Took a meeting, man, and did it and worked my ass off in that job. Because for a couple of reasons. One, if my brother had to recommend anybody else, I wanted his name to be good with that. So I worked my ass off. Plus, our father raised us to just work, always hard work. And then two is like, man, I want to learn the business. And I learned the business by being behind the scenes, man.
And doing different jobs.
Yeah, doing different jobs. And end up, being a PA, delivering scripts and cracking on everybody. And then next thing you know, they're taking my jokes and putting them in the script. And next thing you know, I'm writing an episode.
Dude, that was the part when I was like, okay. They showed Bentley, executive Bentley Evans, and they were talking about, man, we was talking to Joe, and he said this one joke. Oh, Guy, I'm sorry. We was talking to Guy, and he says this one joke, and then they cut to the actual joke. I said, all right,
that was fire.
I'm a production, I'm like, all right, y'all, not just thoughtful, you really.
Let me tell you something,
did y'all think?
There was more stuff than that we had, and the great editing team, and the DPs and everything was excellent, man. But there was more stuff we had to cut out because these studios They want to charge an arm and a leg for some of these clips.
And for clearance.
And Martin was cool because he signed off on everything, but one of the studios wanted too much for just nothing.
Just being a hater.
For episode I wrote.
Wow.
I wrote the episode, and they wanted
something ridiculous.
A ridiculous amount of money. I mean, for some of the money that they were asking for, I was like, come on, really? The show is not even on anymore. We're actually going to give you average. We're not trying to get it for free. If you do, great, but we want to pay. But you asking us to pay this?
Yeah.
Come on,
when
man.
I got this other clips that
How hard it was to put this
it was
together.
tough, man. Because getting the names that we had in it and some of the names that we don't have in it that we wanted, dealing with that. And then we're shooting during COVID. So we got that whole shutdown, which was a blessing and a curse at the same time. Because, it acted, but people didn't want to come out because it's COVID. Even though we had state-of-the-art COVID tests, you had to apply by LA County rules, Fremantle rules, Amazon rules. So all these layers of rules we had to abide by. So we were really, really safe. Tested every day on the set, every day, every day. So all these other hurdles, and then fighting with, the studio sometimes. But it wasn't a fight. It was just like we had to have certain names, which I get. Because, those names bring the boys to the yard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we had to have certain names in order to get this green lit. And so going back and forth to people 2 and 3 times saying, hey, can we get a letter? They ain't believing me.
Until it was on film, right.
I get it. Well, because they're about to invest a lot of money into this. And they want to know they're going to get a return on their investment. So I totally get, it was a learning process for me on this side of the camera.
Yeah.
So,
He's like, I got Joe Torry. I got Joe.
Yeah,
poetic justice, goddamn it. Listen.
Yeah, I didn't really want Joe. But
if you don't know, Joe is his brother, Joe Torry.
You can't tell a story of hip-hop comedy without having one of the pioneers of hip-hop comedy, which is Joe Torry, of course.
Right.
So, yeah, it was just a struggle, man. And that's why when the article came out on Deadline, the first article that came out about Phat Tuesdays, boom, 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 because we've been working on it for a minute, and it never hit the airways at all, or print. I cried, because it's like,
oh, it's real.
Man, people don't know the struggle just with the night itself. Putting on the night itself was hard.
Yeah, I never saw any drama. I just always thought it was a sexy, fly, funny night.
It was, but behind the
Hip-hop.
scenes, me fighting with everybody. Me and Joe had a fight. I had a fight with comics and things like that. And then to get the documentary done, that fight. Yeah. And fighting with the other studios for the clips, it was that fight. So it was all those emotions like, damn, thank you, Lord.
Right.
I'm serious. That's what it was. I ain't trying to sound corny. I grabbed my raggedy little Bible, man, and I laid on the bed and just started praising, man, because it's like, for us in this business.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Who was the first person who showed up for you? You be like, thank you.
Let me tell you, man. Cedric the Entertainer, Regina King, Tommy Davidson. When Bishop and I were shooting the interviews, they showed up. Before we even said Cat Williams, Kevin Hart. I shot them on a handheld. John Sally, Miguel Nunez, Kim Whitley, and my sizzle before we even took it out to the marketplace, they showed up for me. They showed up for me. And I was like, man, we needed those names to go, hey.
Of course.
And to have them on camera to say, and Cat Williams was dropping dimes, and Kevin Hart was dropping dimes, and Tommy Davidson was dropping dimes, man. And my staff, they showed up, of course.
Of course.
But these big names, Cedric and those guys, Cedric was just like giving us a lesson. And like that got us, enough big names to go say, hey. And then enough of the nostalgia footage to say, hey. And then that was like, bam, okay. Each piece got us to the next step.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, who's some of the comics that you were, like staple Phat Tuesday comics that showed up for you?
During the night,
yeah, back in the
some
day.
of those same guys, Cedric,
Yeah.
Would show up and kill it. Mike Epps show up and kill it. Man, T.K. Kirkland would show up and kill it. Tommy Davidson would show up a few times and kill it. Melanie Camacho would kill it. Yvette Wilson, rest in peace. She hosted for me a couple of times, and I had Melanie host a couple of times. Flame Monroe would show up and kill it. Rodney Perry would show up. I mean, they would come and kill. Chappelle would just drop in. Rock would just drop in. Andrew Dice Clay would come in, and Bob Saget, when he did it, it was like, are you serious?
I remember as a kid just going, and I'm like,
Earthquake would drop in and kill it.
You would never know who's going to pop in. You never know what's surprise.
Right. I never advertised.
You never advertised, and it was like the headliner was always somebody. It was a big deal.
Right.
9 times out of 10, every time I went, it was like, oh snap, so and so, Arsenio Hall here or something like whatever. You know, what
Eddie
I'm saying?
Griffin, another one. Chris Tucker would come in and just destroy that beast, man.
Let me ask, do you think the 90s, it was just like great comedians and like we had these places, or was it like, because now I'm like, I mean, there are still great comedians out there, but like that was like, it felt like a golden era. Do you still feel like there are the same level of talented young comedians today?
Yeah. The thing about the 90s was the 90s was such a great time, but it was also, it was very divisive. A lot of shit happened in the 90s. The Rodney King riot split.
Yeah, y'all talked about that.
Latasha Harkins, the young teenager that got shot by in the Korean store, you know, which was before the Rodney King riots. And then you had the Michael Jackson trial that divided America. You had the OJ situation that divided America. So you had all these things that divided America, and so that was going on. And then you had Bill Clinton in office, you know, in 92.
Black president.
Yeah, so you had, the economy was great. People were happy. Then you had the explosion, like we talk about in the documentary, of hip-hop, the best era of hip-hop ever.
Yeah.
Fashion for black people, all the labels, the magazines, the hip-hop magazines and black publications. Well, there are more coming. There's more than just Essence and Ebony and Jet. There are more coming.
Vibe was a
Vibe and Source and you know, and Black Men with the one with the women in it, you know. I had a few of them models in that Black Men magazine. It's called Black Men, but it was for women. I mean, the 90s was just the joint. Yeah. And black sitcoms and black movies. So it was like an explosion of black excellence in the 90s. And then comedy, Def Jam bust through the doors, man. And we were able to laugh with people who we could relate to. You know, and then Comic View came after that. So they opened the doors and laid the platform for me, right? With the help of the Comedy Act Theater, which was in LA, was the spot that really laid the groundwork for Def Comedy Jam and Comic View.
The way y'all told that story, I mean, I was like in school. I
was too young when I was
Reggie Hudlin, Brian Phillips, man. I mean, I had it laid out how I wanted to do.
Harris, man.
But they executed it better than what I even had laid out. But I had to, because even in my sizzles, I had to give, you know, respect to, you know, the Comedy Act Theater.
Of course.
What happened before. I had it even before then. I mean, the original one was like, I took it back to slavery. Because people don't realize slaves were the first comedians. Like, we were telling jokes to keep getting our ass whooped.
Really?
And, slaves would tell jokes to master to keep him from whooping his ass. And then if they were funny enough, slave master would take them to another plantation to perform for another slave master. So niggas been on tour for a long time.
Without getting it.
We've been on tour. This ain't nothing new for us. And so that's where I was taking it back that way, all the way through the Chitlin Circuit and all that stuff. And they were like, okay, let's narrow the scope. That's what's great about Reggie. You know, let's narrow the scope. You're too broad. Let's stay here, let's get locked in, and let's go.
Damn.
Yeah, well, the way y'all said, she said, you had to go below the three.
Yo, man, Myra J, man.
Yo, listen.
Hey, she's a legend. She was great with that pen, too. She wrote on the Martin Show. She wrote on a sitcom I was on, Good News on UPN. She's good with that pen because she really couldn't go back to stand-up after Robin Harris died, because that really hit her hard.
Because she was really close to him.
Really close to him. My brother was close to him. Martin was close to him. You know, Lunell was close to him. He took a lot of comedians under his wing, and I didn't know. I never got the chance to meet him. Mm-hmm. I only heard the stories.
But you knew the work, though. You knew the work.
I knew the work.
Yeah.
Because I did the research.
Yeah.
You know, I had to come correct with the research, and that's why it took so long. And I'm glad it took so long. It came out at the right time.
Yeah. Are you happy of the response? Like, you know, it's like a birthing of a baby.
I'm overwhelmed by the response. You know, the only negative response I've heard so far is that there should have been more episodes.
Oh, well, that's great.
You know, they're like, man, it wasn't long enough. You know, I watched it like that. I couldn't stop watching. I wanted more. And then the other negative responses, the people who are not in it.
Yeah.
My friends who who I really wanted in it, who are mad that they're not in it. And it's like they're in the business. They should understand the process. I came to them, each of them, and interviewed them, pre-interviews. You know, you all in media, you know, you do a pre-interview.
Yeah,
you get the origin stories, you get the stories about Phat Tuesdays, and then when you do your interview, for the real on the day, then you ask them, you lead them down the road to what the story's at. You want them to tell the story they told you in the pre-interview. Yeah. I did that for all of them. So my intent was to have them in a documentary. And I did all the work. I had binders this big, binders full of their bios, not just their online bios, but the bio I put together on why they're important to Phat Tuesdays and their stories. And when Reggie came and saw, he's like, "This is the most prepared project I've ever been on in my entire career."
Yeah, it's like it's my life.
Wow. I mean, it's like I was so serious about this work. I put in the work. Even during COVID, I'm in the back rooms of the cigar lounges, you know, smoking cigars, working on the joint. And so the people who didn't make it, you know, I really don't have the last say.
Right.
You know, I'm not writing a check. And you got to do with the studio what they want, give them what they want, what the director needs to tell his story, because it's the story. I'm gonna give you the work. If I bring you on to direct for you to direct, I'm gonna allow you to direct. Yeah. Especially someone like Reggie Hudlin. Who am I to say anything to Reggie Hudlin? So I give you all the stories, and he's gonna tell it the way he think it should flow. And you know, I'm gonna trust that because not only because you know I love his work, I've never directed before.
He has a job to do too.
Yeah. So people who are mad, you know, and it's like I would expect them to get it. Like, this is an industry, you know what it is. And I sat down with you for hours and got your story. Somebody even called to say, "Hey, can you shoot today?" Because we had a cancellation, and they decided to go golfing instead. And then mad at me saying that you didn't ask me to be in it. I sat down with you for 3 hours in Cigar Lounge. And got your stories about Phat Tuesdays. I called you on the phone. I was on a road date to get your origin story for another 2 hours. You came over my house and brought your photo albums with 2 pictures of Phat Tuesdays in it, and I scanned them right there for 2 hours and gave them back to you. I called you to come do it, and you had a golfing date. And now you're saying I didn't ask you to be in it?
I mean, it's tough.
It's almost like I'm not trying to put words in their mouth, but it's almost like they respect you as a friend, but they not respecting the process of a producer and you putting this whole thing together.
They should know because they've been in this business just as long as I have, and they even done projects themselves. This you know how it works, and I have tons of friends who my friends who are directors and producers, and they have the power to do it. I've never once called any of them up and said, "How come I ain't in that movie? How come I'm not in that TV show? If I'm supposed to be in it, I'll be in it." From now, I'm not. I'm not your friend because what you can put me in. Yeah. I'm your friend because I fuck with you. Yeah. I rock with you. And damn if we ever work together. But if I rock with you, I rock with you. Yeah. And that's the thing, man. So it's just sad that and what they don't understand is this is just the tip of the iceberg. If not this one, the next one.
It'll be the next one, yeah.
Or the next one. Yeah. So, it's like it hurts because you want to help everybody. But you can't.
You've always been like that.
Right.
Yeah. Like
the night itself was my way of giving back. And why do you think now I'm all of a sudden going to say no? And these are legends I'm talking about who've been in the game just as long as I have, who helped me in the game. But at the end of the day, if your story didn't fit in the narrative, then it wasn't going to make it. Say, for instance, if we got Snoop Dogg and we got Comic A, who you don't know, telling the same story, who do you think we're going to go with? Snoop Dogg.
Right.
That's the money. No offense to Comic A. That's the money. That's who we have to have in our documentary to get that check.
Yeah. I was surprised that you guys had Snoop and Tiffany in the same shot.
That was the genius of Reggie. He wanted. We wanted to do more than that. Parodies, because he as a director, he can see the chemistry and how they would play off each other. Me and my brother. You see the tension that would come if they put us in the same room.
But you guys even told that story between you and your brother. It was really a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was he okay with it? Like,
I didn't know.
Yeah,
it's funny.
You're still dealing with it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's on again, off again. Back then we were great. Right now, It is what it is, man. I'm honest about it. I don't lie about it. I'm not
Yeah, you
one of
can't
those.
camouflage it.
Yeah. I'm not phony. It is what it is. If I ain't rocking with my brother right now, I ain't rocking with my brother right now. Damn that blood shit. You know what I'm saying? Damn that blood shit, man. It's like, where's your blood? And blood wouldn't have done it to me. The stuff that the blood did wouldn't have done it if you want to say blood.
Right. I feel you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't mean bloods as in gangbanging blood. I don't want
relative blood.
I got on blue about damn that blood shit. No, this is talking about family blood. I don't want, them rolling up on me. What you like with the bloods, man? No, I'm not talking about those
Talking
bloods.
about my blood relatives.
Yeah, blood relatives. I don't want you to think.
I'm sorry. That's even a gang terminology. Blood relatives.
Yeah, family.
That's even.
God
damn it. Still.
Yeah. I don't know.
Black people.
God damn it.
Do you feel like
Lord. Now God, I just used his name in vain. Now I'm in trouble with God. Damn, the blood's gonna whoop my ass. God gonna strike me down, and Joe gonna whoop my ass.
Oh, there it is.
From all sides, man.
How did you feel that Dave Chappelle showed up for you?
Let me tell you something, man.
Talk about that,
dude. I flew to Cleveland.
Yellow Springs, huh?
No, I flew to Cleveland.
Oh, Cleveland.
In 2019 to ask him if he would be in it. I ain't want to go through people. I'm going to ask him. I'm going to look him in his eyes and humbly ask him, man, would you please do this document? Doing it on Phat Tuesdays. I got maybe 30 seconds out. I'm in. I'll do it. I mean, there's more. Let me tell you who I got. Yeah. We got Amazon. We got Kelsey Grammer. I'm in. I didn't need to do any of that.
And he had to do that.
And I was like,
that's dope.
Yo, man. I was like, yo, man. Yo. And then when he started talking, he started reminding me of stuff about Phat Tuesdays that I had forgotten.
Really?
Yeah, man. The whole Tupac story. I remember that. I forgot it, but that same night is when I met Suge. At Phat Tuesdays. Tupac. I didn't know who Suge was. I just didn't.
Yeah.
Big picnic table shirt wearing motherfucker. I didn't know who he was. I'm from St. Louis, Raggedy T. We ain't no internet back then. I knew the name, but it was what it was, man. But man, he came through, man, and was great. Man, everybody came through. It was so crazy because we were shooting the documentary and interview after interview, even if it wasn't somebody in front of the camera. John Sally, to Robbie Reed, to Amber Bickham, to Anissa Williams, even those, my man, why am I blanking right now? Inge Mitchell, Clark Brooks, even though people who behind the scenes were bringing it, and every interview, like, I don't think any interview is gonna get better than that. And then the next one is boom, and the next one is boom. Stan Lathan, Nelson George. I mean, come on, man. That's like, thank you, Jesus.
You did Phat Tuesdays, right? And I'm not saying you didn't get your props or your respect, but just us as black people, when you do stuff for us sometimes, it comes back to, well, you ain't doing enough for me, right? You go on, you have a successful career, you're still doing your thing, touring, successful comedian, but do you feel like with this project, like, you've had ideas and you have like, this is your work, like y'all can see I'm brilliant with other things other than just being a comedian or an actor. Like, they can really see this work and this is going to open up more doors. Do you feel like that?
No, because it's not about flowers. It's not about, I thank people who want to give me flowers. I appreciate that, but that was never the intent. That's not the intent to even be on this earth. To serve is the intent. To pay it forward is the intent. When you get a certain amount of, especially black folk, when you get in a certain space of other folk, I would hope to think you're like, yo, come on. This is how they eat. Let's eat like they eat. Instead of being like, no, I'm the. And this is what's crazy, because when I first got out of here, and there was a few black comedians who were regulars at the Comedy Store, right? They used to come down to the hood, to the Comedy Theater in Mavericks Flat, in the Fun House, where Anthony Brown would slay every damn weekend. And like, we're like, hey, you going up tonight? No, I'm going up at the store. I have a spot at the store. They peacocking. Yeah. They want to rub it in our faces that they're regulars at the Comedy Store, and I don't need to do this little black room. And so those comics were mad that I brought the hood to Hollywood.
Because they
were trying to stop Phat Tuesdays. They were black comedians in the Comedy Store who are regulars who are trying to stop Phat Tuesdays from happening. Because sometimes when black people get into some white shit, we want to be the only ones.
Yep. Yeah.
And like, no, I'm in, you're not. I'm like, no, I'm in. Come on.
Yeah.
We can all eat up in here. And that's how we should be. And that's what Phat Tuesdays was about. So there were some black comedians who actually tried to get Phat Tuesday shut down.
Wowzers.
I want to be.
And that came from, huh?
Yeah, like they wanted to be the
only
only
ones.
Oh, I hate that. Ooh.
Man, so there was some Ben Carsons in this motherfucker, man. Yes, sir.
I didn't know that.
Some Republicans, man. they at least they were acting like Republicans.
Yeah.
You know? I'm telling you. And that hurt when I heard that. I'm like, wow. And some of them were big names too, and it hurt my heart. But then some of them same ones was like, hey, you got a spot for me tonight? When they see 400 seats. Because when they were there, the Comedy Store was empty. Now I'm packing the main room, 400 seats every Tuesday.
And you're not getting on
and
a
you try to
Friday or
shut
Saturday.
this night down, but now you want to come perform.
You never forget that.
Hell no.
Hey man, you can perform.
And
I ain't gonna fight fire with fire. There's a comedian, man, who hated on me out of a commercial. He had a bigger name. He was hotter at the time. He booked the commercial, and he hated on me out of commercial. I didn't get to the commercial, and then it came to Phat Tuesdays. After 2 weeks, I saw him at a comedy show in another city, and I asked him if we had beef. He's like, "No, I ain't got beef." And then he kind of trailed off into the darkness, you know. And then 2 weeks later, comedy room was packed. Like, it's Eddie Murphy's out there, Chris Tucker's out there at his height. And it was, room was hotter than slave pussy. And he comes to me, well, Tina Andrews come to me and say, hey, so-and-so wants to get, 15 minutes. And I was like, and this is after 2 weeks I straight lied in my face. But this mofo was hot at the time. Mm-hmm. I said, let me holler out. He said, hey man, let me get some time, man, about 15 minutes. I said, I got you. I said, let me put this other comic up. They can't follow you. I'll put them up. Because I knew what the audience wanted to see.
Yeah.
It wasn't about how I felt about you personally, and you just shitted on me out of this commercial and a lot of bread. But it's okay. It's okay. It's not about our personal relationship. I'm going to put you up. I put him up, man. Killed it. It destroyed that night. So it was a lot of that going on. A lot of comics weren't funny enough to play the main stage who was mad at me. Because it's like, you're not ready for the stage yet. This stage is the main room. Industry is down here to see people who are ready. Yeah. So you gotta do there's other rooms. There's a million rooms in LA you can go work on your act. And when you get better, then come back. I got you. Thought we was cool. We cool. Yeah. But it's about the audience.
Right.
And it's about giving somebody who is ready to be seen, to be showcased.
Let me ask you, what was the advantage of you hosting your own Papa Night in LA? You're actually emceeing the nights majority of the time, correct?
Yeah. Whenever I was in town.
Whenever you was in town. So what other opportunities did that provide for you having your own
Everything.
night? Had to, huh?
American History X, I got that movie because they saw me at Phat Tuesdays. A show called Good News, the sitcom I was on with Ed Weinberger. He came one night, and Ed Weinberger created Taxi, Mary Tyler Moore, Cosby Show, Amen, Sparks, and Good News. Saw me at Phat Tuesdays. The Kings of Comedy Tour.
Damn.
I was hosting a room that a lot of stars came through, and it was, as Steve Harvey talks about it in the doc. It was like, but it allowed me to develop an act. Mm-hmm. It allowed me to work on jokes without the pressure of headlining or just doing a set. It allowed me to meet, people that I was fans of. When Magic Johnson comes down, like, man, I'm a fan. Dude, you are the reason why I'm a Laker fan, bro.
Hands down.
When you got Richard Pryor in the audience coming to see Phat Tuesdays, Prince over there, Denzel over there. I mean, Montel Williams, Montel Jordan. Quentin Tarantino was trying to come back and get at some more. Some more was on stage killing it. He was like, who's that comedian? And Dustin Donna came out, and I'm like, well, who's that bitch with the snake in your movie? Yeah. I didn't know who Selma Hayek was at the time. Who's that chick? Sorry, bitch. I didn't mean to tell you, bitch. But yeah, you would find Zell in that with that snake. But yeah, it was like that. I mean, it still is happening, but I'm not receiving it as, oh, look at me, and I go to these big people. I'm like, man, I'm showcasing people.
You serving.
We having fun.
And you getting blessed by serving.
Yeah, and you got people like in the industry like LT Hutton coming through.
That's my guy.
When he was broke, and because I shouted him out every week, Snoop and all them started giving him business cards.
Yep.
And he said, man, that's how I signed more deals at my little table at Fat Tuesdays than any other place in Hollywood.
Shout out to LT. And
that's my man. And I wanted another one that, man, I wanted in this doc because his story is so incredible. Reggie J.
Shout out to Reggie J making the suits.
The suits, man. Woody, they used to all come through and lace us with clothes and stuff. Reggie was giving us
walkers
clothes every week to give away, man. I wanted their stories in this documentary, man, because they have such amazing stories that dealt with Fat Tuesday. Norman Lewis, First Class Limousine would come through.
Yeah.
I shot him out. Man, all the stars
That's
like, yo, I need
you
to call.
always shout out people. You would say so-and-so's in it. That's so-and-so from
serving.
It was the first. It was a nigga net. It wasn't no Instagram, no Facebook, MySpace. We weren't fuck with MySpace like that. But I wanted to shout everybody out. You got a party? Yo, Shaq got a party. Oh, Magic Johnson Midsummer Nights is going on. Make sure you get tickets. Oh, Chris Rock got a HBO party down the street at Bar One. You know, everybody go there after that. You know, hey, we're gonna be at so-and-so party.
You sure
if
did.
It was black. The Comedy Act Theater, when Ricky Harris, rest in peace, started it back. Like, yo, Ricky Harris got a night on Thursday night. Go check out my man. Chocolate Sundays, right down the street. Yo, my man Chris Spencer, he going up tonight. But you know what? Oh, you want to go comedy on Sundays? Chris Spencer right down the street at the Laugh Factory, Chocolate Sundays. It wasn't like hate and competition. It's like inclusion. Oh, Monday nights, back before D-Ray was doing Monday nights, it was Zoo Man.
Yep.
You know, it's Freaky Mondays. Zoo Man is doing, you know, Monday nights. Whacked Out Wednesdays with Buddy Lewis and Kim Whitley. They got it in the Valley. It was shout everybody's stuff out. It wasn't like, don't go there, come here. I can't support all you niggas at one time on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
You know, I needed these other nights.
Yeah.
And we supported each other. But that's how it should be.
Right.
Because this LA, there's enough money and jokes to go around in this bitch.
It was brilliant, dog.
What's a legendary night you saw there that somebody went up and you can't believe they were on your stage doing a set?
Robin Williams.
Really?
The white comedians wanted to come test the material in a black crowd without going to the hood. So they come to Fat Tuesdays. Bob Saget, Pauly Shore, Dice Clay, Billy Gardell, from Mike and Molly. And,
some
you know,
names.
I mean, they I'm like, wow. You know? There was a lot of other big name comedians too, black, who were scared to touch that stage.
Really?
They were scared, man. They were scared of what that room was.
Yeah, that room was, it could get
You
vicious.
had to bring your A game. And I get it, because sometimes I go to rooms like, ooh. If somebody was telling me, I forgot what it was. I think it was D-Ray was telling me he was there one night and T.K. Kirkland went up and set that shit on fire. And I think D-Ray said he still wanted to go up. And I was like, ain't nothing left. Bruh, there's no coming behind what this man just did.
Stop.
It's just, It's so, I admire your confidence and your cockiness, and let me go see what I can do. But you know what? Don't take this. You ain't got to take this L.
Yeah.
You read the room right.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you just like, you know, sometimes you got to know when to bow out gracefully, man. I remember being there one time, and I was a king at snapping on one mother. And one time Snoop was in there and Sean Dogg was in there.
Yep.
And Sean Dogg, you know, Snoop had a new album coming out. And I said, Snoop, new album coming out, man. You know, we got to get you one, guy. What you want, tapes or CDs? I said, CDs. And Sean Dogg goes, CDs, no. Man, when I said that place erupted, I mean, it was erupted like crazy. And I just had to take it and be like, coming to the stage. Dude, there's no coming, there's no following that. There's no following that,
that's
man.
when these nuts was cracking.
Man, what?
Yeah.
Oh my God, man. You know who else took the stage and do stand-up though was Joe Jackson was in there one night.
Joe Jackson?
Joe Jackson came in there one night and was in the audience. I brought him on stage, man. Yeah, the Jackson's dad. That Joe Jackson. Flavor Flav was in the audience one time. I brought him on stage. I got pictures of that.
Yeah.
But when Denzel was in the audience and Prince and those guys I mentioned earlier, it's like, what?
Have you ever seen somebody in the crowd like, what are you doing here? Like, you ain't supposed to be here.
Charlie Pride. I mean, but then you remember he was in the Negro Leagues before he did country music. Charlie Pride was the Negro League baseball. He in the Negro Leagues Hall of Fame. And when I told him that, he was like shocked because nobody really knows that. But I was like, oh, but Quentin Tarantino, like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, that's what
I think that was the first time I think he said he saw Chris Tucker.
Damn.
Man, dude.
Yeah.
So are we, I mean, again, like that happened because it was a conscious effort of you saying, hey, we're going to do this. Are we going to get, a live,
there's more coming.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
So what if you haven't watched the documentary, what was the reason why Phat Tuesdays ended?
Several reasons.
Okay.
Man, I was just stretched beyond whatever.
Because how many years did you guys do it?
I did it for 10, right?
Wow.
But here's the thing. So
That's a lot.
So Phat Tuesdays, at the time, I was still acting.
Mm-hmm.
So I was still doing TV shows and movies. I was doing radio in St. Louis from LA. So I was getting up at 2 in the morning, doing radio live.
That's rough.
I was still I was recently married. So I'm still touring. I'm still doing TV film. I'm doing morning radio 2 hours, earlier than this. So I had to get up with crazy hours. And I'm running Phat Tuesday, and I'm recently married, a new marriage, and that's a lot. And I just had to be like, which one is the least profitable one? And for me, it was Phat Tuesdays. And some other guys wanted to come in and take over, and they called the Comedy Store and was like, hey, we want to take over Tuesday nights. And they were like, no, if Guy's not involved. I think it was Drew Tillman and Charles Patrick Gooch.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, Guy's not involved, we're not doing it. So they called me and said, Guy, will you come back in and help us? I was like, I'm done. But I know how important this room is to black comedians.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, I'll call the Comedy Store and tell them I'm helping you guys, but I'm not.
As a
I
favor.
don't need any money. I don't need no favors.
You got the night with the established crowd.
This night is important to black comedians, and I'm not gonna let it die. So it was basically just passing the baton and letting a new wave come in. I think Alex Thomas was the first one to take over the host and Tripping on Tuesdays, and then they had several hosts, and through the years the baton was passed on. But it was like this room need to be here.
Right.
Black. And we know they had the Laugh Factory and the Improv at the time, but still it needed that Tuesday night.
Man, dude. I mean, how have you been somewhere just in the country and surprised that somebody you in the corner of the earth and they like, man, I was in LA one time and I came
Montreal. I was in Montreal shooting the film. As I was on the street and this dude was like, Guy Torry? Yeah. Man, Phat Tuesdays. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Yeah. It was the place, man, that comedians came to showcase, but it was a place where, my publicist, Keita Williams, worked at Def Jam at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And Keita was like, when her artists came to town, it was like, okay, where's the weed? Where's the bitches?
And
where can we go have a good time? And they was Phat Tuesdays. There were people bringing their clients to Phat Tuesdays.
I did it all the time.
Yeah, it was that. It's like, fuck golf. Because that's where you're gonna see Shaq over there.
It was like who's
Denzel
who.
over there.
Who's
Who. Some of the baddest women. You're gonna see John Singleton over there, F. Gary Gray over there. You know what I'm saying? So L.T. Hutton. So you're gonna see these people in one spot.
It was definitely Death Row friendly in there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
they was always in there.
Yeah. Death Row and Def Jam.
Yeah, Death Row and Def Jam.
Def Jam was always in there.
And I didn't even know the history of you saying Phat Tuesdays was a bite off of or a spin off of Phat Farm.
Yeah, because I was managed by Russell and Stan Lathan.
That's great.
I was SLBG, Simmons, Lathan, Brillstein, Gray. So I was managed by them, and I wanted some free gear. And it was like, yo, I'm trying to advertise, and Nicole Roberts was just very simply, what night is it on? Tuesday.
And shout out to Stan Lathan, man. He has some of the greatest stories and one of the solid dudes I've ever been around.
I'm gonna be honest with you. They did the Def Jam reunion, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they need to do the Def Jam documentary. They really do, man. It's so many. And Bob Sumner, man,
oh yeah, shout out to
doesn't get
him.
the credit that he deserves. And we wanted to make sure we honored him in this by saying his name. We couldn't get to him timing wise and place wise and wrapping up production and stuff. I really wanted him in this. I shot him for my sizzle. He came through for my sizzle. Helped sell it, and he's talking about stories.
Yeah, he got some stories.
Stories. So it hurt me that we couldn't get Bob in here. It hurt me physically that we couldn't get Bob. I was talking to Bill Bellamy, who's close with him. I was talking to Regina King, we're all close, and I was like, man, it hurt that I didn't get my man in here because he's the one who put me on Def Jam. You know,
And that changed your life too, huh?
Yeah, Joe wanted to take the claim. It was Bob that said to Joe, your brother's ready. Joe saved me from not being ready because the last season Martin hosted, I thought I was ready, and Joe was like, nigga, you ain't ready. And he was right. I wasn't ready.
He kept him 100.
He kept it 100. He was right. He was right. But then Bob was like, boom. So he's not one of the ones that I mentioned that's really kind of hurt.
Yeah.
He's not one of the ones that's hurt by it.
Okay.
Just to clear the air. But there's some other people that, and I'm not going to throw him under the bus
And
like
of
that.
course not. For people who don't know, Bob Sumner, he was the one that would pick people.
He was talent coordinator. They would go
Def Jam.
around the country and pick, hand-pluck from day one comedians that you've lived, growing up, seeing, in your life. And seeing. He was the one that was in those clubs, those dark, old discotheques turned comedy clubs now in the hood, watching, picking all this talent, man. And he doesn't get enough credit.
Right. Has anybody took the name Phat Tuesdays and tried to do it in another market?
Absolutely, they did.
Really?
Absolutely. Dallas Improv had one. There was one out there, I think, in Long Beach, whatever. I didn't care if it was going to get black comedians. I mean, I care now because I own the licenses. But
talk to him.
But now you got to pay.
Yeah.
Hello.
But back then I didn't mind because if it was helping black comedians get stage time in an A room, and the Improvs and Funny Bones and Levity, those are A rooms. Those are legitimate comedy clubs. Yeah. And it's just a different feel when you're doing a legitimate comedy club versus a bar that has comedy. Mm-hmm. There's a difference. There's a different respect level, a different energy, a different type of people who come to a comedy club that go to a bar to see comedy. And not crapping on bars that have their comedy nights.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all, because we need those rooms too. Those rooms are just as important as the clubs, but the industry respects you a little bit more when you do the clubs, and the audience is a little bit more relaxed, and you can get your set off. Yeah. So if you want to use the name back then, not now, and do Phat Tuesdays, then I didn't really care. It was helping somebody out.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. What are you doing now? I mean, you have the documentary that you already put out, but outside of the documentary, what else are you working on that we probably haven't had a chance to promote?
Well, always stand up, man. I'm always going to do stand up. And my special, I've never done a comedy special. I did a DVD with my brother, but that wasn't a special. That's a DVD project that I didn't want to do.
But back in the day, that was back in the day.
Yeah, but a comedy special. I've never done a comedy special.
What?
So comedy special and these other shows that are associated with Phat Tuesdays.
Why do you think it's taking you this long to, or why did you avoid a comedy special?
Because I'm a perfectionist and I get my own way. I overthink shit, and it's got to be perfect. It got to be the right thing. And I see guys going to HBO and Showtime and Netflix and Prime and and do specials and it ain't special. Specials aren't really special anymore. What can I do to make mine special? No disrespect to these half hours and these hours at all. There's some very funny ones out there. But remember, a special used to be a special.
It stopped the world.
Well, you had a watch parties for the special.
Yeah. Social media messed it up for us.
Well, no, even before social media, it just the market became oversaturated.
Yeah.
Everybody had a special. So I'm not gonna blame that on social media. It's before social media. It was kind of like almost like how the sitcoms started dying.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
So it's like, sitcoms were like that was the thing, and then but everything has a cycle and it goes and it comes back. But the special, man, is more important. But these other shows associated with the title, Phat Tuesdays, we're talking about it right now.
Dope.
Man.
I love it, man.
Guy Torry, man. Thank you. The Magic Johnson of black comedy. Y'all get this, man. The no-look pass.
My boy Jay Harris, ESPN, man, he said I was the Martin Luther King of comedy.
Shout out to Jay. Martin Luther King of comedy. Guy Torry, thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, man.
This is a
And,
true
yo,
honor.
make sure y'all, if you haven't seen it,
It's amazing.
if you got Amazon Prime, because you're ordering stuff on Amazon, that means you got Amazon Prime. Make sure you watch this documentary.
Yeah.
It's LA history,
If you've
first of all.
seen it, watch it again.
Yeah.
Invite some new people with you who haven't seen it. Go out and tell a friend. You know how they say bring a friend to church?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
bring a friend to Phat Tuesdays.
That's right.
Yes.
Share the
Bring
link.
a friend to Phat Tuesdays. That's what people did back in the day. They brought
sure
a
did.
friend to Phat Tuesdays. Bring a friend to your house or your establishment and watch Phat Tuesdays.
You have to have stories of people that met at Phat Tuesdays that got married.
Gary
and
Owen.
families.
Oh.
Gary Owen met his,
His wife at Phat
Uh-oh.
Tuesdays.
Well, they got
Oh.
divorced.
Oh.
Yeah.
And we wanted Gary Owen in it.
Yeah.
And the week we had him scheduled is when that.
Oh.
And
this-
I told
yeah.
production, they were like, we got Gary Owen this week. I said, have you seen
What's going on?
social media?
Yeah.
And shout out to Gary, that's my man.
Good dude, huh?
One of the first stages he played in L.A. was Phat Tuesdays because he was a white kid, and a lot of black rooms didn't want to put him on because he was white. So I was like, man, you funny, come on. My boy Terrence Reynolds from St. Louis, you know, he was my scout basically. 'Cause I couldn't be in all the clubs. I'm on the road all the time. And I trained him to book the room. I had a system. Well, I listed every comic, and I put numbers by them of what position they are. Like if they're opener, or they're number 2, or they're number 3, or number 4, or number 5. So I would put numbers by them, and
System.
then a system. So then I put these combinations together. Like, okay, you can't put 4 ones up.
Yeah.
You know, you got to put a 1. You can put a 1, a 2, a 4, and a 5. You know, you can put a 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you don't have any ones, you can put a 2 and a 2 and a 3 and a 5. And we just worked all these combinations of things. And I said, it's foolproof. Just use one of these combinations and with the name and call them, and you got a foolproof show. Now, of course, it's comedy, and you may have a bad night, but I came up with a system, and that's how I trained him to book the room.
You were curating early. You were curating the night.
It's a science. It's a genius. It's a magic.
Because you got to put styles together. You can't have 2 impressionists on the same show. You know, you can't have 2 comics who be clean. You can, but if you want a clean comic up, you got to put them before TK Kirkland. You know, you got to put them before Corey Holcomb. You know, you can't have TK and Corey on the same show, who are great, both great. They both they're my motherfuckers, man. And so you want to comment. You want the show to climax. You still want everybody to have a great performance. You got to at least put one woman on each show.
Got to.
At least one. Because the women come to comedy clubs and we get on stage and talk all our shit. So let's have somebody from a woman's point of view. So make sure you have a woman on the stage too. And that could be, you know, any of those numbers. So it's a formula of putting a show together. And, you know, that's how you get that's how Phat Tuesdays became a place where people, you know, wanted to come, because it wasn't just throw a bunch of comics on stage. It's a way you do it, the way you build it, and the way you structure it.
Science.
Let's do this.
You broke that down.
Oh my gosh, Guy Torry, man! I can't wait to see what happens next.
Man, God is good, man. This was an assignment, man.
Yeah.
Phat Tuesday was an assignment, and I thank God I was a willing servant to go and give His blessings. I'm glad He used me as a vessel.
Where can, if people want to find you at local, you know, you come into their local town?
Yeah, just go to my Instagram. I post every show that I'm doing.
Okay.
You know, this can show at any time. So just follow me on Instagram at Guy Torry. Follow me on Twitter. I'm back on Twitter. Once I get a hold of my Facebook page again.
Whoa, man.
Yes, somebody got me. So old white man. Then follow me on all my social media handles, and I'll be in your town, and you know, slinging these jokes.
Man, we thank you for stopping by, man. This was a true pleasure.
Thanks for having me, man. Fuzzy called me. I was like, John, let me fit it in. And
Yeah, you did. We were going back and forth.
Yeah.
He made it work. He made it work, and we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Come on, man. You've come through for me.
Thank you, man.
So that's what we do as friends. Like Reggie was saying, you know, we was talking, and like when the friend calls you up and says, "Hey, can you," you know, and it's something that's legit. That's a bootleg, you know, something. And there don't have to be money involved all the time, but that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, man. Guy Torry, man. The Martin Luther King of comedy. Right here. Look, FAQ Podcast. Subscribe, FAQ Podcast on YouTube, FAQ Podcast on audio. And if you would like to advertise, fuzzyandq@gmail.com. We'll see y'all next time.